One of the top quarterbacks in the 2024 cycle, Julian Sayin, has jumped in the portal from Alabama. What does this mean for him moving forward? Talk about it next. Before we talk about five-star quarterback Julian Sayin and where he could be playing his football or his college career in 2024, hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we are doing here at Campus 2 Canton. We are trying to get to 3,000 subs as soon as possible. We aren't supported by ESPN, CBS, or NBC, but we are supported by you guys, and we appreciate all the love and support. So Julian Sayin, after Kalen DeBoer comes over, after Nick Saban retires, a lot of talk about what this team is going to look like, what the quarterback room is going to look like. Jalen Milroe says he's saying. Austin Mack's coming over from Washington and following his old head coach. And finally, Julian Sayin says, I am going to enter the portal. Listed at 6'1", 190, he's top three at worst in all the services. On three, ESPN both have him as QB1 in the class. 24/7 Sports has him as QB3, and Rivals has him at QB2. In the composite, he is listed at QB1, I believe, and has a 98.63 grade on three. So he is a highly touted quarterback, and he can do it all. What he lacks is some of the physical upside of some of his classmates and what they can do with their legs and their arms. But he is, in my opinion, probably the most mechanically sound, the most accurate, and the safest projecting quarterback moving forward of this class. I mean, his mechanics are incredible. Everything moves in concert from his head to his arm to his feet. Like, he is exact. If you wanted to coach your kid on how to play quarterback, you could put Julian Sayin tape on now, coming out of high school, and tell your kid this is how your body should move. He knows how to reset his feet when he's moving. He's just an incredibly good quarterback. Now, he doesn't have that huge arm. He can challenge all three levels of the field, but he succeeds a lot more in the short and intermediate parts of the area where he does show really good touch on the ball, has really good zip and velocity on his throws as well. That seems to kind of slowly come down the further and further down the field he goes, but he can challenge down the field. He was, I believe, on three's MVP at the Elite 11. He was the MVP for the OT7 finals, which is also a big thing for quarterbacks. And I'm going to pull up his stats here, actually. He has had an incredible high school career for Carlsbad in California, especially when it comes again to that completion percentage. Last year, as a senior in the 10 games, passed for 2,369 yards, had a 24-1 touchdown to interception ratio with a 75% completion percentage. And he's been right in that range since starting as a sophomore. Did play in a couple games as a freshman, which is huge. Talked a lot about that with Dante Moore last year, who I think you could, in a way, kind of comp him to Dante Moore of this class. Now, we had Dante Moore graded as a tier 1 player. Julian Sayin for us is clearly going to come in as a tier 2 player, which is not bad at all either. That is a very talented quarterback, someone that I personally think, again, is going to be very good. And I would have loved him to play in Kalen DeBoer and Alabama's offense, because I think he would have fit perfectly as kind of that guy who can operate the offense behind the line of scrimmage. We have him at an approximate ball velocity of 50, which is pretty good. And his production score is at a 15.57, which is the highest of all the quarterbacks. All of our graders have him as a tier 2 player, so he will be sitting in that tier 2 of quarterbacks. Landing spots is going to be big with this kid. So we have heard since the announcement that Ohio State has reached out to him, USC has reached out to him, and LSU. The top teams that were in on him before he committed to Alabama were Georgia, LSU, Texas, and Notre Dame. Those were kind of the top 5 with Alabama where he ended up committing. Now, Mike Bobo, still, with Georgia, I don't think that Georgia's going to go after him. They've got Carson Beck. They have Gunnar Stockton. They just brought in Maava from the portal. I think they're kind of set at quarterback. Now, maybe they will. Kirby's brought in a lot of 5-stars and made those guys earn that position, right? So maybe they will still go after Julian Sayin, but I don't think that they will. LSU, one of the main guys after him was Joe Sloan and Mike Denbrock. Mike Denbrock obviously is left. He has gone back to Notre Dame, which is interesting. We'll talk about in a minute. Joe Sloan, though, still there, the quarterback coach for LSU. Texas, I don't think is really in on him either. They've got Quinn Ewers. They have Arch Manning. Like, they clearly have the plan for this year in Ewers and the plan moving forward with Arch Manning, possibly even Arch Manning at some point taking over this year if Ewers gets hurt, doesn't play well. So I don't think they're going to go after Julian Sayin either. And that leaves us to Notre Dame, who this year has Riley Leonard coming in off the transfer portal. They had Kenny Minchie and we saw Steve Angeli play in the bowl game, and they have CJ Carr in this class coming in. He's actually was there for the bowl game practices. Obviously, son of Lloyd Carr, famous Michigan head coach. Julian Sayin's better. Mike Denbrock coming over to Notre Dame. I don't know if they would do that, but it would be very interesting. Riley Leonard, clearly a one-year player, in my opinion. I don't think he's going to elevate that offense. Now, what I will say is I don't think Julian Sayin is the kind of quarterback that Mike Denbrock has seen success with. Go back to a la Desmond Ridder, Jaden Daniels, who won a Heisman, and Riley Leonard, who kind of fits in that mold, a very athletic quarterback, but maybe not quite the best passer. And we saw the steps Jaden Daniels was able to take in 2 years with Mike Denbrock as a passer. Desmond Ridder never did. We'll see if Riley Leonard can in a year. Julian Sayin's not bringing that kind of athleticism. For those of you who may have watched college football back in the day, he is listed as an athletic comp for us in our databases like a Kellen Moore. So he has some athleticism, but it's not a lot. Like, he's not going to be using his legs to extend the play like Jaden Daniels, Desmond Ridder, and Riley Leonard can. So I don't know if he's a fit there. The other big one, though, was Oregon, and his head recruiter was Kenny Dillingham. Again, I don't know if he would go to Arizona State. They have Jaden Rashada there. They just brought over Sam Levitt in the portal, both players that I thought were very good in last year's class. I personally was a massive fan of Sam Levitt, and I think he's going to do wonders there in the Kenny Dillingham offense at Arizona State if he gets that job. So the two big ones, the ones that have been talked about now the most, have been USC and Ohio State. Both of those make sense for me. USC clearly does not have a plan after Miller Moss, and I honestly think there is a shot we could see a Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams type scenario if they do land Julian Sayin and Miller Moss goes out there, because USC has a tough schedule this year and where they have to go across country and come back. If Miller Moss struggles, I could definitely see Julian Sayin getting in as a true freshman and then being the guy and operating that offense that we have seen players successfully do a la a Baker Mayfield. Again, I think, he is much better than that. We had some discussions about what Walker Howard could be in the USC offense. Check the video. We did a video on that. We thought Will Howard was going to be coming to USC. Julian Sayin, I think, is a much better version of Will Howard. Again, doesn't have the rushing, but passing-wise, he's got it all. That's the kind of quarterback I think Lincoln Riley wants. A guy who can operate that system perfectly, because Lincoln Riley's still one of the best schemers in the game and getting his wide receivers open. And Julian Sayin does a great job of checking off and going to his other options, would fit miraculously with the USC offense. Then the last one is Ohio State. It's very intriguing to me. Obviously, if you can see behind me, Ohio State fan. Get it. But they've brought in Will Howard. Devin Brown's still there, although I think we've kind of seen what the coaching staff thinks in Devin Brown, that the Kyle McCord beat him out, and then they went to the transfer portal to get Will Howard because they didn't trust Devin Brown. They have Lincoln Kienholz from last year's class, was a 4-star, not highly touted kid, but a very athletic, fun kid who I think can develop into be a very good quarterback. And they brought in Aaron Noland in this same class with Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin ranked above Aaron Noland. If they go get him, you're likely seeing all three of those last guys transfer out, because Will Howard is going to be the guy this year for the Buckeyes unless Devin Brown just comes in and blows everybody away in spring camp. So then you're going to have Will Howard there, Julian Sayin the backup, and I would imagine Devin Brown, Lincoln Kienholz, and Aaron Noland gone. They're in the portal, which is going to cause another massive shockwave, and open rooms going to be fighting for some quarterbacks, which maybe, hey, I'll just say it now. If he goes there, we could see Devin Brown leaving and possibly going back home to the West Coast and maybe going to Lincoln Riley. We'll see. Did play Corner Canyon in Nevada, who's produced some really good quarterbacks. Isaac Wilson, Zach Wilson, Jackson Dart, Devin Brown. Regardless, let me know what you guys think where Julian Sayin should go. I love the USC landing spot. I think he would be great in that Lincoln Riley offense, but I am kind of here for Ohio State to see the dominoes continue to fall. But let me know where you guys think Julian Sayin should go in the comments below, and if you think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in this class.